The ACU women's basketball team hits the road for Texas A&M Corpus Christi after a full week at home. I'm Max Preston.
And I'm Grant Boone. We'll look back at a big win Saturday against Central Arkansas and preview this Wednesday's game in the Gulf. It's the Julie Goodenough Show right now. Welcome to this week's edition of the Julie Goodenough Show from the JMC Network studios at Abilene Christian University. I'm Grant Boone alongside ACU senior journalism major Max Preston and the head coach of the ACU women's basketball team, Julie Goodenough. Nearing the halfway point of the conference season, the Wildcats are 13-6 overall, 6-2 in Southland play after a really nice home win against Central Arkansas. Coach, you're alone in third place. There are 10 teams in the league who would love to trade places with your bunch, but talking to you on air and off air, I get the sense that you think this team's best basketball is ahead of it, not behind it. Is that fair?
Absolutely. I think that, with each conference game, we're learning different things about our team, about individual players and what our team is really doing well, some things that we need to improve on. And so, and at this point in the season, you do want some areas of improvement, some things that we can really focus on. And so I like where we are right now, but I do think that we're just going to continue moving forward as a team on the court.
So last week we previewed Alumni Day, which happened Saturday. Just talk about how that went, welcoming back those players, and also talk about the terrific diaper derby we saw at halftime Saturday.
Well, first of all, it's always so much fun to get our alums back in town, and we had a good group of women that loved ACU when they were here. They have lasting relationships with their teammates, and I think it's awesome for our current players to visit with the alums and just listen to them talk about how important it was to make the friendships they did when they were here and how those have continued to carry on throughout their lifetime. So it was really fun having them back in town and good to catch up with all of them. And then there was the diaper derby that we missed at halftime of our game, but I heard it was plenty exciting.
Here it
Lots
is.
of
Break
excitement.
it down for us here. How about the hops?
We had some criers and face plants.
Yeah, it's really tough, when you feel fatigued, you're facing adversity, it's really hard. Hey, and there's a lot of pressure on you when you're on the court. You don't understand that when you're a spectator, but
some aren't
gosh,
meant to be,
the pressure's just getting to a few of them, it looks like.
This is like, what, the class of 2037? Have you made any offers yet to any of these?
Check out the focus of this little one right here, man.
Nice,
in a straight line, no wasted steps there, straight line drive.
It really was a great day, and I had a chance to visit with a number of the former players. Kat Kuhnmiller was one of them, and she said it's great to know. She didn't play for you, but she said it's great to know that I'm still welcome here, right? I mean, that matters, doesn't it?
Well, and once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat.
Yes.
And it has been fun for us to forge friendships with the players that were here well before my staff and I. And so we really appreciate them coming back. Quite a few are Wildcat Club members. And so it's been really fun getting to know them. And we want our players to understand, too, that, hey, lots of players before us established the foundation of excellence at ACU. And so our job is to just uphold that standard on a daily basis.
Props to Associate Head Coach Erica Lambert, who did a lot of that legwork, right?
Yeah, she's really good at coordinating events, and she's a great MC, great host. One really neat thing we did this year, we didn't have enough that wanted to play a game, so Coach Lambert and her helpers gave a great tour of all the new athletic facilities. And so, some of the people got to see the club level and suite level of the stadium that they had not seen that, got to see the new baseball locker room. So it was a really good day. Really good day, and especially given the fact that you won the game 77-70. Yes. When we come back, we'll look back at both of last week's games at Moody Coliseum. Stay with us. It's the Julie Goodenough Show. Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show. After playing 5 of its first 6 conference games on the road, the ACU women's basketball team returned to the friendly confines of Moody Coliseum for a pair of games against 2 of the top 3 picks in the preseason poll, beginning with Stephen F. Austin, which entered tied for first in the league, unbeaten. Coach, you had a chance to pull even with the Lady Jacks had you beaten them. Tight game going to the fourth quarter before SFA pulled away to win it 71-55. We'll talk about the last period in just a second, but you led 47-46 through 3 periods in a game that had 10 lead changes. Following it, as we were from Nacogdoches, where I was broadcasting the men's game,
it felt like this heavyweight fight with teams just exchanging blows.
It was a great game. I mean, it really was. Both teams played really hard. I think our players really embraced the game plan going in and just followed through with things we had worked on in practice, and that's always fun to see as a coach, to see things carried over into the game.
Yeah.
So great, hard-fought battle against two really good teams.
Yeah.
So as Grant mentioned, you're up by 1 at the end of the third quarter, but then in the fourth quarter, you kind of struggle and fall behind quick. Moving forward, how do you fuel that fourth quarter and keep the momentum?
Well, you know, it's kind of like which comes first, the chicken or the egg. We weren't hitting shots, so they were scoring in transition. We had a hard time picking up on defense. Well, if we get a defensive stop, though, the reverse is true. We were going to be able to score before they could pick up on defense. And if we can score, then we get to set up our defense. So, you know, it's almost like, is it the defense that's hurting us, or is it the fact that we can't score hurting us? And so it was just kind of a vicious cycle. I mean, we had a hard time scoring, and then that allows us not to have to try to scramble and pick up in defense as much. And so I don't know. I don't know which area was the biggest lapse for us, but in the fourth quarter, I mean, they did a great job. I thought Stephen F. did a great job of just reading when we were not exactly in the right spot on defense. They would capitalize on it. But again, most of the time it was after we missed a shot and we're scrambling to pick up. And so we talked about that a lot. Got a lot of really good video. You know, it's a great learning experience. You would like to learn through a victory. You know, maybe it comes down to the wire and we pull it off. But man, our players responded so well Thursday and Friday. I think on Thursday we all woke up and felt like we'd been run over by a truck. I mean, we were all so emotionally invested in this game on Wednesday night because we were so excited to be back at home, play an opponent that was a game ahead of us. And then Thursday you wake up and it's like, all right, we've got to move forward. And gosh, our players did a tremendous job in our prep for the next game.
The men's team went through something similar after a tough loss to Stephen F. Austin on Wednesday night. You can see that on the Joe Golding Show, a discussion of that with Coach Golding. But at the end of the day, while you'd still love to learn through a victory, as you say, you're going to have to play the next game, win or lose. And you love to see, in the same way that you love to see practicing something, then putting it into effect in a game, you love to see a team rebound, right? And they come right back 72 hours later against a team that's won the Southland Conference tournament a couple of times in the last 3 years, Central Arkansas. You're up 14 at halftime. They make a really good second half run, as you knew a really talented, good defensive team would. But then you respond, Coach, with a 29-point fourth quarter. You don't put up 29 against Central Arkansas. They're one of the best defensive teams in the nation, and you win it 77-70. The ability to respond after the disappointment of Wednesday night had to make you feel like you've made a step.
Well, I think the fourth quarter was a real statement of how our girls handled Thursday and Friday. I have a lot of good friends that coach football, and they're like, how do you prepare for so many games? You know, they come so fast and furious. And I'm like, how do you wait a whole week to get back into the battle? And so that's a great thing about, especially in conference play, it's Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. And so our players showed a lot of toughness on Thursday and Friday, going through practices and preps. And so we knew that at some point, Camry Orr would take over this game. I mean, that was the biggest prep of all, is like, get ready. And we held her to 0 points in the first half. And the last thing I said before we came out at halftime, I was like, hey, we're playing against one of the top coaches in the league. She's going to have her team ready. They're going to make some game time adjustments, and they're going to get the ball into Camry's hands. So number 2 has got to be defended by the entire team. And golly, sure enough,
she's special.
That's what happened.
She is special, but you win the game 77-70.
Yeah, so you see a really good game from Sarah Williamson in that game. But, you know, behind the scenes, aside from the stats, what does she do for the team off the court? And then what other key players really keep this team fired up off the court?
So the first thing that comes to mind when you ask what Sarah does off the court, she's comic relief. That's Sarah. She kind of keeps everybody loose. And, you know, not all players need to be loose, like, before the game, but I think they've all kind of learned that, like, this is how Sarah is before the game, and it really has helped maybe some of our younger kids, the players that are new to our team, just kind of relax a little bit and go into a game a little bit looser than normal. But we do a one-word exercise with our program where everybody claims one word. That's their focal point. That's what keeps them motivated to reach their goals. Sarah's word is finale. And I just think it's so fitting for her.
Senior.
Our one senior, her word is finale. And she is making the very most of every practice opportunity, game experiences, road trip. She's a hoot. She's having a blast. You know, we're going to Natchitoches for the last time in her career, going to Houston the last time in her career. And I mean, she's just embracing it all and enjoying the process, enjoying the games. And I think that the team has kind of rallied behind her efforts. You know, this is our lone senior. We want to make this a fantastic, memorable senior year for her.
22 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists for Sarah Willie, as she's known on Twitter, which is kind of fitting. And the finale of those 4 periods was special, 29 points. When you beat a coach you really respect, and you've said before Sandra Rushing does it the right way,
Absolutely.
you've said, that means something, doesn't it, to beat
Absolutely.
a team like that?
You know, she's one of the coaches I respect very most in our league. She had a lot of success before she came to the Southland, and she's done a tremendous job. And so, you know, to game plan against a really great basketball mind like Sandra, it takes a lot of work for our staff.
Yeah.
And she does a phenomenal job. You know, no lead's going to be big enough against her teams. They're a phenomenal defensive program. You know that it's going to be tough to score. And so it I think is a good measuring tool for our program and where we are right now to be able to finish a game that it looked like it was kind of getting out a little bit out of control in the second half, and our players locked down and finished the game with a win.
Well, we'll see him again in early March in Conway. All right, great week for ASU, bouncing back from the loss on Wednesday to beat Central Arkansas on Saturday. Yet another road game coming up down in the Gulf on Wednesday. We'll preview the game against Corpus Christi when we come back on the Julie Goodenough Show. Back here on the Julie Goodenough Show, the ASU women's basketball team hits the road again this week to take on Texas A&M Corpus Christi on Wednesday night. The Islanders are 4-2 in conference play, tied with your team coach in the loss column with 2, led by Delicia Booth, who is averaging 17.5 points per game. We knew she was good. She's taken a leap this year, hasn't she? How much has this team improved, let's say, in the last couple of years?
Yeah, they're a veteran, experienced squad right now. They added a junior college player that's made a huge difference as well, and they always play really well at home. And you never know which of their homes are going to go play
at. They have 2
at.
places, yeah.
We are going to play on campus on Wednesday night, which is kind of similar to our rec center gyms. So they're very improved. They changed their defense throughout the entire game, and so it really kind of keeps the offense from getting into any kind of rhythm and flow. And so it's really important that our players read the defense, really take what they give us, and just make sure that you know, you're really reading the defense accurately. They're very athletic. They try to turn the ball over quite a bit. Great offensive rebounding team as well.
Yeah.
And so defensively, you know, we've got to keep the ball in front of us, but make sure that we've got 5 people blocking out when they take a shot.
So after Wednesday, you'll be at the midpoint of the conference season. Then Saturday, you get a bye. Most teams in the conference have already had a bye, but do you find advantage in taking yours midway through the season?
I think the timing could not be more perfect for us. You know, let's get through the first half, and then the second half, we'll have another bye right in the middle. And so our byes have worked out really well. It's interesting, though. I think we counted up there are 6 opponents who have their bye right before us.
Right.
We've already played like 3 of them, which is crazy. But I think it's a great time for us to take a bye. We've got you know, players that are playing a ton of minutes that need some time to recover. Probably need a break from the staff, in particular me. And so we'll get a little bit of time off. And a Saturday bye is awesome because you can, you know, enjoy your weekend and just kind of get away a little bit and clear your mind some. You know, we ask so much of our players physically, but just the mental capacity to be ready for scouts, and you know, we're traveling, we're trying to do homework, you know, all of that. It's good just to kind of step back from that and not have to do a scouting report for a couple of days.
As we wrap things up on this week's episode, I want to go back to something that you told me during halftime of the men's game on the broadcast on Saturday. I was asking you just about minutes and trying to figure out the rotation for your team, and do you want to play 8 players? Would you rather play 9? Would you rather play 10? And I thought your response was really interesting. You said, I'm learning. I need to get better at figuring out how to spread my minutes out and my rotation. And I'm thinking, this is your 25th year as a head coach, but do you ever really stop learning as a head coach, right? You're always kind of digging and scratching and asking questions, aren't you?
Gosh, I think if you ever stop learning, you probably should get out of the business. It changes all the time. The players that we work with, each class that comes in is different than the class before them. You know, just the generation that we're working with. But, you know, I think as the leader of our program, I have to constantly be challenging myself and learning learning about each one of our players. You know, they all need to be taught differently, motivated differently. And I have not done a good job with substitutions this year. I haven't done a good job managing playing time. And so I need to get better at that. And I watch a lot of video to see, you know, where can we make an adjustment right here, or how do we give people a little more of a breather? How do I give people a little bit more playing time during intense times of the game? You know, you're kind of a novice experiencing tight games until you get a chance to go in and experience that. And so I am, you know, every day learning more about our team and how do I need to guide them better. And you know, we've had a great season so far as wins and losses, but we've got so many great battles ahead of us, and I have to continually be you know, taking ownership of my own craft and making sure that I'm not just going through the motions. I've got to make sure that I'm bringing my A game for our players every day.
You're doing something right. You're chasing down 500 wins. So nice job. Big win over Central Arkansas. Really nice. So it's ACU and Texas A&M Corpus Christi on Wednesday. Zach Carlisle will have that broadcast for you. Go to acusports.com to get all the info on how to watch and listen to that game. For Max and for Coach, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching the Julie Goodenough Show. We'll see you right here next week.